Are you a basketball player who wants to build your basketball IQ, but you're not quite sure where to start? Well, today I'm going to share 3 things that you can put into practice right away that'll help you jumpstart building your basketball IQ and make you a smarter player. Let's jump in and discuss. Welcome back to Hard Smart Together. I'm Coach Dave. I'm here every week to help you along your basketball journey from ordinary player with a basic understanding of the game to a smart player with a high basketball IQ that will stand out on the floor as one of those special players. So today we are talking about building your basketball IQ, and if you're not quite sure how to do it, I mean, you build your basketball IQ through, years of playing and practices and interactions with coaches and, learning from games and things of that nature. But what I want you to do is to actually put into place 3 foundational things that really separate out actions you can take to immediately start building your basketball IQ and concentrating on that. And what do I mean by concentrating on that? Well, right now, I'm sure that you do a lot when it comes to your physical skill development, your fundamentals, whether that's shooting or ball handling or defense, and all that's great. But are you neglecting becoming a smarter basketball player? Are you neglecting, really taking an active stance at boosting your basketball IQ? And that's what we're going to put into place today. 3 things that you can do, real simple things that will really set a foundation for that, for you going forward. So, speaking of being a smart player, I always like to give a free gift to you, and this is one of the smartest things you can do today, is to download the free gift I have available for you. It is what I think are the 8 most important and tangible skills that you can have as a basketball player. Makes you stand out as a teammate, it makes you stand out to coaches, and it will really help you both on and off the court. So I'll make that available to you in a PDF checklist. It gives you some ideas of how to implement these skills. You can scan the QR code below. I'll also put a link in the description below. Or if you're on the podcast, simply go to hardsmarttogether.com/intangibles. Again, it's hardsmarttogether.com/intangibles. So download that today. That is a smart thing to do as well. So what are these 3 kind of foundational things that you can put in place, put into action today that will help you on your journey to becoming a smarter player? Number 1, I want you to start, if you haven't already, start a basketball journal. Now, this is an exercise I use with a lot of the one-on-one players that I work with, and I'll supply them with a journal that gives them kind of starting places in different areas of their game and different concepts that we're working on. But I want you to keep yours simple. And this could be just a notebook that you keep. You can keep it in your gym bag for when you go to the gym. You can keep it at home. But here's what I want you to do is keep this simple to start. What you're going to do is every time you come off the court, doesn't matter if it's a practice, an open gym, a game, whatever the case might be, I want you to pull out that journal and make some notes while the game or the practice is fresh in your mind, what just happened. Now, it could be when you get home, that's fine, but I want you to do it within, hours of when you play. Just make this a habit for you to do. And what I want you to do in your journal at first is just make an entry on just 2 or 3 things that you did really well. What went well for you? What were you finding success with on the court? Okay, whatever that might be. And so that could be, an offensive move, getting open for a certain shot, setting great screens, playing defense. But some things, I want you to identify some things that you were doing really well. And then the opposite of that. I want you to make a note on 2 or 3 things that maybe didn't go so well. Now that might be something that didn't go so well for you as an individual, or wasn't going so well for you as a team, but a situation, maybe it is getting trapped and not knowing how to get yourself out of the trap. Maybe it is getting pressed. Maybe it is, you weren't, a certain move you were doing wasn't successful. Maybe you were turning the ball over in certain situations, whatever the case might be. But I want you to find 2 or 3 things that you didn't do so well, that you'd like to work on, okay? So these are great because, one, writing it down solidifies it into your head, and so you can work on those things that you maybe need to improve upon. But the other thing that a journal is going to do is give you an idea of where you've come from and the progress you've made. I want you to see the progress that you're making throughout your basketball journey. So journaling is a great way to do that. And this is a great tool to use with my second foundational tip of something that you should implement. And that is, I want you to get a basketball mentor. Now, what do I mean by a mentor? And you might say, I have plenty of mentors, but I'm going to get a little bit more specific about what I want, the interaction I want you to have with this mentor. Now, this could be a parent. This could be a coach. This could be a trainer. It could be a player that has gone on to, an older player. This could be a lot of different people that could be your mentor. But this mentor I want you to have as a resource so that you can have in-depth kind of basketball IQ discussions with them, okay? This is not the relationship that maybe you have with your coach today, where the coach tells you what you did right or what you did wrong, or encourages you or whatever, and you just kind of take that information and go, I'm not quite sure what they meant by that. Or you just take that information and go. I want this to be the relationship that you can ask questions. And you can utilize your journal in order to formulate the questions that you want to have, the discussions you want to have around being a smarter player, around situations with your mentor. Now, one caveat, this mentor has to have a pretty decent basketball IQ. They have to, know a lot about the game. So you need to be kind of choosy in who becomes your mentor. But what I want you to have is an open dialogue with somebody so that you can sit down and say, this is what's going wrong, this is what I'm having trouble with, this is what I want to work on, this is a situation I found myself in, and let's discuss that. Now, this mentor either needs to have the basketball IQ in order to help you and teach you through that, or they need to be open enough to say, hey, I don't really know the answer to that question, but let's find out together. Okay, so those 2 things I want you to do. Both will help boost your IQ. Start a journal and get yourself a basketball mentor. The third thing I want you to ask that mentor questions. Most important part of that is you've got to start opening up to ask questions. Okay, now the third foundational thing that you can put into practice right away. I want you to start, if you already are, I want you to do more of it, but I want you to dedicate some time to watching film. Doesn't matter what level you are. All the great players at every level utilize film, okay? Doesn't even need to be game film. It could be practice film. It could be game film. It could be your film. It could be somebody else's film. And let me explain. I want you to, in combination with the notes you're taking in your journal, be able to look back and go, oh, that's the mistake I was making. And you can really kind of use film as a way to work with your mentor, work through that game situation that you're having trouble with, that improvement in an area of your game that you're having trouble with, that you want to improve on. So film is a great way to review these things that you're both doing well as maybe not doing so well. And you don't have to make that complicated either. It doesn't have to be, some breakdown of the game that you're going over with your coach. I mean, those are great, but it could also just be some raw footage, and you kind of already have your notes of which situations you want to look at and review. And it could be as simple as your parent, got some of your practice on an iPhone or your game. I mean, when you're playing, I'm guessing there's a camera on you nowadays. And then it doesn't need to be necessarily your film. I've said in the past, one of the best ways to learn is from other people's mistakes and other people's, situational awareness. So there's so much basketball online, there's so much basketball on TV. You can take that and you can review specific players or specific games, and you can start looking for situations in which you boost your basketball IQ from learning from other people's mistakes or learning from what other teams or other individual players are doing really well. And then based on this film that you're doing, this film work and this film review, make notes in your journal. Make notes about what you learned. Make notes about questions that you have to talk to your mentor. So that's your 3 things that you can implement right away. Start building a foundation to have a higher basketball IQ and become a smarter basketball player on the floor. I want you to start a journal. Keep it simple. I want you to get yourself a good mentor that you can discuss the game with and ask questions of and learn from them. And number 3 is I want you to dedicate some time. It doesn't need to be a lot of time. You don't need to overcomplicate this. You can do it with some simple raw footage of you playing, or even some, film that you find online of a college game, something like that. You can start looking at film in a different way and looking to learn from other situational mistakes or things that other teams are doing well. So that's your 3 things that you can implement right away and start building that basketball IQ. Hopefully this was helpful. I always appreciate all the video likes and comments. Let me know if there's anything specific that you want to hear in future videos, and I can discuss those down the line. And until then, and until next week, remember to play hard, play smart, and play together. See you next week.